All right, welcome back for another episode of the Chamber Podcast. My name is Rob Johnson, and joining me in the studio today is Jen Ling from Rejenerate Your Space. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rob.
I'm so excited you're here.
Me too.
I love the industry that you're in, and I'm very excited to learn how and why and what and all the main questions about what it is you do. So, for the listeners, why don't you give a quick backstory into who you are, and then we'll transition into how you got into the Regenerate Your Space company.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Jen Ling. Hello. I have been in the community for absolutely forever. In the restaurant business for a very long time. Actually, bartended and managed next door at what used to be Stout for a long time, and worked at the Chamber for quite a while after that. My degree's in public relations, minor in marketing, and I own Regenerate Your Space. I'm owner and rockstar organizer for my business, and so that's kind of who I am.
So so everyone has a story as to kind of what made them get into what they were going to do. 10 years ago, me sitting here was not remotely on the map.
Sure.
I think life kind of takes everyone on a bit of a journey, and the old saying goes, "You plan, God laughs." So tell me more about what got you into the organizational space.
Sure. So actually, I was working at the Greater Brighton Chamber. I was there for about 9 years in various roles during that time, most recently as the director of events. And so I loved my job, loved what I was doing, loved chamber staff. And COVID hit, and things kind of drastically changed for everybody, including the chamber and all of us, So at the time, like I said, I was the director of events and planning about 5 different events at that time. And things got a little bit crazy. We were kind of told to work from home for a couple weeks, and it's events like that, they take there's a lot of moving parts. They take a lot of time to plan.
Yeah. And
so it was a little bit of a shock when things were kind of shut down a little bit and working from home and kind of not really knowing what was going to happen after that. And as time progressed and we were kind of officially laid off, our entire staff was, except for Pam, just pretty much had to keep it together for a few months there by herself. But it was kind of looking like, well, goodness, what's going to happen now? And, so with my job that I had, it was, we had all these kind of things, balls in the air, just things we were trying to work on, artist applications for 2 events and smoke and jazz vendors and just getting registration and everything set for a golf outing and contracts and all of these things that are just, it's a lot,
Yeah.
And so for everything to kind of just completely stop, that's very challenging, So it was a little bit hard to kind of like, okay, what do you mean we're not working now? How's this going to go? But it is what it is. The world kind of stopped, and so did I. And with that, the nice thing about it was, everybody got a little bit of time to kind of reflect on what was going on in their life and slow down a bit, right? Which was maybe a little bit wanted, a little not, I think, for a lot of people. And for me, I have twins that are 5. And, well, at that point, they were like 2.5. So it was great to be able to spend some extra time with them, spend a little bit more time on myself, extra time to work out, relax, enjoy life a little bit more, I guess, instead of the rush of every day, which I think we can all get into, that kind of takes over, right? So,
yeah.
So anyway, when we were officially laid off and had time to kind of figure out, well, what now, and I kind of always wanted to own a business, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I never kind of had the idea of the right thing. And so it gave me a chance to kind of really think about things. And my mother-in-law kind of randomly said, well, you're really good at organizing. Maybe you could do something with that. And I was like, that sounds kind of cool. I like the idea of that, so I gave it some thought and started doing a little research, and I'm like, I could totally do this. And so at that point, I kind of put it out on my social media, like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Anybody want to do some, free organizing with me so I can get a feel for it? And So that's kind of what I did. And from there, I'm like, I like this. I feel naturally good at it. It seems like the right thing. And so I'm like, let's do it, you know?
Yeah. So that's a really interesting thought. So one, the transition, obviously life threw a lot of curveballs at people in, March of 2020. When you're thinking about, all right, so I have this skill set, I can organize, was it just a logical conclusion of like at my house, for you speaking, not me, I'm certainly not super organized, but, so some of the best business ideas are born out of, what people find their energy put into. I hear a lot of people say like, you got to follow your passion. I don't necessarily think that's true. Like I'm passionate about basketball. I'm never going to play in the NBA. But my effort lies in creative, which is what I do. So it seems like to me, your effort was in organizing, and that's a very nice natural conclusion to jump into business.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because everywhere I kind of worked, I was always that person organizing the storage room or organizing this, or, in the downtime, I found myself doing those things all the time and, never really thought about it until after the fact. I'm like, yeah, I've really always enjoyed doing this and have always kind of liked doing it at home and, always kind of felt like I had the right ideas to kind of make a space what it was, what I wanted it to be. And so, yeah, it kind of felt like a good natural thing for me. So I'm
sure with all businesses, things evolve as you get into it and learn more and figure out, well, that probably wasn't a great idea, or I'm like, I can do it better this time or that time. So as you stand right now, a couple of years in, what are the main, call them verticals, that you offer potential clients? So when they're coming to you and say, hey, I have a disaster on my hands, or I have something that got away from me. So what are the types of services that you offer people?
Sure. So mainly what we do is decluttering and professional organizing. And so with that, I will say every job is different. Every client is different. Every project is different. Everything is different kind of per person you're working with. And so I'm very flexible how I work with people. Some want to be a little more involved in the process than others. Some have more time, some don't. And so I'm very flexible with people, but so decluttering and organizing are the main things we offer, but we also help get rid of unwanted items. So whether it's something that's hard to dispose of, like paint or electronics or that kind of thing, we can handle that. Or if somebody wants us to take their donation items, or, they just want to know what to do with these things. Maybe they don't want to pay extra time for us to take care of it, but they just need to know what to do with it. We can kind of provide them with resources as well. A lot further from that, we've had clients that we stained a deck for somebody. We've done some yard work. Those are kind of off the cuff things that we helped a VIP client with. So we're not really limited into that box of organizing and decluttering, but we do also help people pack for a move, unpack and set up space after a move, kind of declutter you if you want to list your home. Setting up what I call new spaces. So if someone is pregnant and needs like a nursery set up, we can just come in and handle it all for you. Or maybe a home office. With COVID, that was kind of a big thing. People starting to work from home, or a basement bar, anything like that. We can come in and just make it happen. I've done like craft rooms and playrooms and all kinds of stuff like that. So
does that include like furniture ordering, assembling, like putting everything together, or is it more of like I'm just curious, like how detailed do you go?
If it's something I can do and the client is asking, and I have no problem with that. Like I said, I'm certainly not a painter, but I had someone that had a need and I didn't mind doing it that day. So, if it's in my realm of possible, I'm usually not, don't have a problem with that. But yeah, so as far as the furniture piece, since you asked, I have assembled some light furniture. I built a desk for actually one of your former clients that were on the show. I've done some light things like that, but it just depends on the need.
That's cool. So over the last couple of years, as you've gotten into this, what's been one thing that surprised you? You're like, well, I didn't really expect that to come from this. Is there anything like that sticks out where it's like, or it could be like, this has been a really cool thing I didn't expect to come out of this?
I guess I'm kind of having a hard time answering that. I'm sure there's something. Sure. I can't quite think of anything right now, but I will say I've had some clients that I've worked with now, maybe a couple times a month for 2 years, year and a half, a year. And, I didn't necessarily foresee that when I started. Not that I didn't see that happening. I wasn't really thinking about it and like how the relationships that I've, been able to grow from doing this and seeing people regularly for that long and getting to know them and their families and, stuff like that kind of thing. It's been really cool and not, I guess, really expected that happened. And so now I have some clients that are friends, I would say. And,
I imagine it's probably on the rewarding side when someone calls you and they say, I have a problem and I can't fix it myself.
Yes.
I need to regenerate my space.
Yes.
Jen.
Love those words.
And then the project is done. And I'm sure that person feels like you've just lifted a weight off of them.
Yes. I recently had a client, and I just posted something about this on Facebook recently, but I recently had a client that said that I changed her life. And what greater, compliment can you get than that? And, I agree that for some people that's the case. Some people are just kind of living in stuff. And for a lot of people, they don't know what to do about it. They're overwhelmed. They're stressed. Maybe it's even a physical issue. Maybe they're tripping over things or, and then there's always the fact that you can't find your stuff. So you don't know what you have. So then you spend money on it again and realize later that you have 12 cans of hairspray or whatever the case is, Sure. So for some people to say that I've changed their life, it's pretty cool. And I kind of feel that. And so I've also I worked with one of my friends who needed some help for her daughter's room, who's a teenager. And she's like, we can't really work together because my teenage daughter doesn't really want me involved and she needs help. And so I was able to kind of help give that girl her space back and set it up in a way that it's functional for her. And that's one of my main goals when I work with a client is not only nice looking and organized, but functional for your needs. And so in this particular case, this girl was so happy and kind of was able to change her daily routine. She was able to focus on homework better and have a spot to put her makeup and, stuff like that, where it was just kind of all over and she couldn't find her things and they were in the way and mom wasn't really happy. And, and we were kind of able to resolve all of that just by doing what we do. Yeah. So it's those kinds of things that are great.
Well, I think people miss sometimes the stress and anxiety and even depression that can come along with clutter and too much stuff. And it's hard to feel productive when you're in a space that feels like it's consuming you, right?
Yep.
And services like yours coming in there and literally changing someone's life, it might seem like, well, it's just, you're just removing clutter. It's like, well, if it was just that, there wouldn't be a ton of businesses that specialize in helping people do that. It's like, well, it's just personal finance or it's just investing or it's
right.
just real estate. It's like, no, those are serious things that people need help with.
Yeah.
And this is no different.
Yeah, for sure. And, when I kind of started out in my head, I'm like, it's kind of a luxury service. It's not exactly cheap to have someone come in and kind of do these things. However, I had a few people say, it's really not a luxury service. For some people, it's very, very needed. And like I said, physically, maybe they're tripping over stuff. Mentally, like you said, it can be a huge burden, even just feeling okay every day and getting done the things you need to get done, relaxing in your space, whatever it is that you need to do in that area. If there's stuff everywhere, it's very hard to do that for a lot of people, and so it is very needed by a lot of people. And, for some clients, like I said, I'm very flexible. Every job's very different. Some clients, it's more like, can you take my pantry and make it beautiful, Pinterest perfect? Those are the super fun jobs. Come in and get them the matching baskets and the really cool labels and do all that. And, it's cool. And maybe it might be needed a little bit, but, it's those jobs where, someone really, really needs this in order to kind of live a little better, That's kind of got off track a little bit there, but
no, it's right on because you failed to, like, a lot of people fail to understand the value of having things in their right place. And like with anything, there's a spectrum, I would assume, of people that would need a service like this, whether it's people that they've let things accumulate too much, or if it's people that's like, look, I don't have the time to sit here and organize this. When I come home, I want to enjoy this, and, and this is not what I'm good at.
And that's, you kind of touched on two things that are most of my clients. Either they don't have the time, or when they do have the time, they don't want to spend it doing that.
Right.
Or they really don't know they don't really have the kind of mind to organize. Some people, which it sounds so silly to me because it comes so naturally, but some people they don't know where to start. They're super overwhelmed. They don't even know, they don't know where to start or what to do, And so, it's, yes.
Yeah. It's not just for one type of person,
right?
It's the same thing in the show before this. I was talking with our guest about how there's always a spectrum of needs for people. And I was talking about this one creator that I know who for a year, she shopped out all of the things that she's not good at: cooking, cleaning, organizing, even the car service. She's not good at driving, apparently, she says. So she's like, I just want to focus on creating really great content and see what the results are. And she was able to grow her business and her video content tremendously, over 10 times. And that's kind of the thing, is when you have specialists that can come in and help assist you with things that you might not be particularly good at or have the time to do, it enables you to focus on the things that actually matter.
Yes, exactly.
Or the things that you're good at, the things that need your concentration.
Right. Or golfing, or whatever it is that you want to spend your time doing
something fun.
Go do it, and I'll take care of your garage, or whatever the case,
No, that's tremendous. So obviously we're getting right ahead into a new year. And for me, I always enjoy New Year's. I think the older I get, it's probably my second favorite holiday, just because of the symbolism of it, kind of eliminating everything from the year prior. Yeah, it's kind of a fresh start. So what are you looking forward to the most next year?
Well, as far as business goes, for the next year, I anticipate probably hiring an admin/marketing kind of person to help keep me up to date on social media and that kind of thing, because it's just something that's not getting done because I don't have time. Kind of like what I was talking about with my clients. They need me because they don't have time,
Absolutely.
So expanding my team. I did, this year I was able to hire an assistant organizer who's awesome. That's worked out really well. And so, I think really to kind of take my business to the next level, I need another staff person to help me in those ways, and, kind of just being able to get the word out a little more and take on some more clients and make some more people happy, and just kind of progressing the business. As far as the rest of it, just enjoying time with my kids and watching them grow up and do the crazy things 5-year-olds do, So yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine that, you mentioned you have twins that are 5. My kids are 8 and 5. So it's similar range. And the amount of things that we accumulate so quickly. We just did an organization weekend and ahead of Christmas, which I enjoy much more than doing that in spring.
Yes.
Kind of clearing everything out. Mm-hmm. So that was nice, and made both my wife and I feel tremendously better about things going into the holiday season.
Yes.
So it's a fact that the more organized and arranged your place is, the better you work. It's the same reason, like my office, I try and keep it I try and keep it as neat as possible, because I can't think in cluttered spaces.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, for sure. And like you said, with the Christmas thing, especially with young kids, well, they're probably going to get a lot of toys and more things to add to the stuff. And so I do kind of same thing before a birthday, before Christmas. I like to go through and kind of sneak out things that maybe they don't play with anymore. I just know they're kind of done with, and just kind of try to get ahead of it a little bit and, make a little bit of extra room for those things. One thing this year I'm kind of trying to focus maybe on more like experience gifts, because my kids have so much toys. And that's another business in and of itself. If I could figure out local experiences
for kids instead of presents, you know?
Yes.
Cause that's the thing is, you know, our kids are fine. Like there's not really a whole lot that they need. So it's interesting to see every year. They're like, let's just go do something, you know, kind of that experience thing. So
yeah, for sure. Well, and my kids are the only grandkids on both sides. And so they, you know, it's inevitable they're getting spoiled.
So loaded up and they get, you know, yes. 2 or 3 Santa bags. Gotcha.
Pretty much.
So Jen, if people want to get a hold of you, if they're ready to regenerate, what is the best place for them to get a hold of you?
So probably call or text 810-522-8422. Texting seems to work best for most people, but you can call, text, email, Rejenerate your space, Rejenerate with a J. So that's REJENERATE, your space at Gmail. Or you can check my website out if you want some more information. That's www.regenerateyourspace.com with a J again. Yeah. And
if our listeners happen to be driving and trying to write all that down, fear not. It's all in the show notes of the podcast for them. So Perfect. They can pop back there and check that out. Well, Jen, I appreciate the talk.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see how 2023 grows for you. And it's a phenomenal business that a lot of people need more than they think.
Thank you very much. It's been nice to be here.
Absolutely. All right, friends, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. I appreciate you listening. Please check out all of Jen's information in the show notes, as I mentioned. And we will see you next week for another episode. Have a good one. Take care.